Hey everybody, this is Geno Boost from GameMusicForAll.com, and you're listening to another episode of the SUBCON Video Game Hip Hop Podcast. That first track you heard was Bitch I Bought It Out by Frosky's X Chippy Nonstop. So you got Frosky's laying down that Final Fantasy-esque beat. Well, maybe it's from Final Fantasy, maybe not. I didn't recognize it right off the top of my head there, and I'm not going to look into it. And Chippy Nonstop is the girl rapping over that sick beat. I realized I'm 8 episodes into the podcast, 7, 8, 9, I'm starting to lose track, but I haven't played any female anything at all yet. So I'm seeking to rectify that, and I did that with that track there, and I hope to continue doing so in the future. I really don't feel like it's me though. I've done a lot of digging through SoundCloud, Bandcamp. I'm always looking for new stuff, of course, whenever time permits, and I just don't see, like, it's not like with a lot of stuff where I'm picking the good stuff and I'm sifting through the chaff to get to the wheat. It's the wheat I want, right? I don't want the chaff. Anyway, I can't find a single female artist. Well, not a rapper at least, and there's very few singers in general in this niche we're all into, so that's neither here nor there. But female rappers rapping about video games, that's what I want more of, and that's what I'm trying to hunt down. And anything I do hunt down that is sufficiently rad will make it into the podcast, of course. But as I was saying, I don't find anything that even exists, let alone is sufficient. Alright, moving on, I wanted to mention on GameMusicForAll.com, one thing we've been up to is celebrating different video games and video game creators' anniversaries and birthdays. And recently, Hideki Naganuma turned 43. On the site now, you could probably go and check out my top 7 Hideki Naganuma tracks from various Sega games. But even with 7, I couldn't find all of them that would make the cut. So I figured today I would highlight one of them that didn't make the cut of 7 tracks. So you could go to GameMusicForAll.com and check out the rest. But here is Mickey from Guitar Vader. Her track was remixed by Hideki Naganuma, and this is a remix of Jeku Nanka Ikanai.
Imagine a big brown sofa, passion and fashion, and Xbox on headphones and they blasting. That was my setup, y'all. Before I wrote about life, then FedEx job. See, I've been on a collect call with my brain. It's 9 to 5, killing my vibes in my brain. And so it's A, then X, then B 2 times. A part of my life and my game. A minute, a clarity these bills still do, but I'm in it. So when it pivot, nigga, I'm made. Or maybe for the things that'll change for a villain. A brand new whip and my slave, hot cliche. But when you grow up seeing Transformers and get the chance to ride in something that'll transform you, probably pull up bumper summer rig raw shit. Can I dream bench warmer? If life was a video game, I had $1 million in the bank. I'd be the DK of this rap shit, cause I'm feeling bananas. Yeah, I'm feeling bananas. Life full of bananas, I slipped, I took a dip to shit. You know that life get hard, life get hard. When life get hard, I just start my very own video game and let the trigger be the killer. I be killing the pain, yeah. Bench warmer, former, nah. I'm really cold, you better have leg warmers. I'm really running and stacking up my blocks, I'm Tetris. Still getting calls from collectors, gas. But I ain't home, a villain out here, but I ain't gone. How many out here just living out here? Going through the motions, connect on, damn. Still on joysticks, but I dream of the joy when my words stick. I'm joking in a world full of bullshit, and I bleed villain blood like I'm Robot Nick. I OD on the bud, do you know about it? Nah, we don't know about shit. We get lost in a world that we do not live, but we dream. I wonder when I'm dreaming if life was a video game. I had $1 million in the bank. I be the DK of this rap shit, cause I'm feeling bananas. Yeah, I'm feeling bananas. Life full of bananas. I slipped, I took a dip to shit. You know that life get hard, life get hard. When life get hard, I just start my very own video game and let the trigger be the killer.
Okay, look, I'm short like Diddy, with hair like Tiny. Wanna fly, leave the world behind me. You know where to find me. The clouds I reside at, looking for the blueprints, colors I provide that. Slide it in the fox, broke out of the box. This world's cruel, giving souls to be kings. Everybody play the fool. Was cranky for a minute until I found a potion of happiness. Chunky fat lines through commotion. I'm hoping that these lanky legs lead me to success through stress. I've been blessed, I confess. I'm a nerd, but who you know cooler? The freezers, brother. They nibbling my medulla, got me flowing without thought. Get it for yourself. Rhymes go to bananas. These words vital to your health. Like, hope that wasn't left field. Give them food for thought. Candy instrumental, water for your melon. Keep it soft. What? What?
Okay. $1 million in the bank. I be the DK of this rap shit, cause I'm feeling bananas. Yeah, I'm feeling bananas. Life full of bananas. I slipped, I took a dip to shit. You know that life get hard, life get hard. When life get hard, I just start my very own video game and let the trigger be the killer. I be killing the pain, yeah.
We're back. That track you just heard was by GamerGad. Dude hit me up on email, and you can and should all hit me up via email. You can send questions, comments, any songs you want me to hear, any junk you want to promote. GameMusicForAll@gmail.com. Anyway, GamerGad hit me up. He told me about this track he just dropped a video for called Bananas featuring Sky Blue, and as soon as I saw that it featured my man Sky Blue, dude I've been covering for a couple years now, I knew I was going to dig this track, and definitely did, definitely do, and that's why you just heard it on the podcast. Right now is probably a good time to cover the background beats you've been hearing. In the last break, you heard Ebb and Flow from Hideki Naganuma. That was one of my top 7 tracks by him, which you can see on GameMusicForAll.com, if I haven't said that website enough times in this episode. So, I barely found out about this track a couple weeks before I'm recording this podcast, and it blew my mind. Of course, Hideki Naganuma, one of my favorite composers, one of the, or at least until very recently, one of the hardest guys to track down music for. Of course he would create a Japan-only Japanese horse racing game for the Sega Dreamcast and do one song for it. But fortunately, thanks to the futuristic world we're living in, someone uploaded this track, and I love it. Anyway, The track you're hearing now is another guy that hit me up via email, which I'm very fond of because I don't always like hunting down the news myself. Sometimes I like it when the news comes to me and not in a I've been stabbed kind of way. The background music you're hearing right now is by Robbie Duguay. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. Hit me up on Twitter with the phonetics and I'll cast a correction in the next episode. I really hate it when I get names wrong because people say my last name wrong all the time. Anyway, this is from the soundtrack to iOS Android game, I believe, called We Are Doomed. And this is the OST to that. This track is called It's Only Going to Get Worse. And just as the name implies, both the game and the album get progressively more intense until you're dead, because that's the kind of high score game We Are Doomed is, I believe. I haven't got to play it because I don't own an Android phone nor an iOS phone. So unfortunately I don't get to check out a lot of these phone games that people are always bugging me about. Anyway, this is a great track and you should check out that game because it's probably really good too. Alright, so to finish things off, I wanted to mention that I'm probably going to be trying to start promoting my Patreon a little more now. So if you like the podcast, if you like the website, consider donating $1 a month to the cause. Anyway, after the cut, I'm also going to start playing some original VGM, and I thought what better than some staff roll music to close out the episode when I do my little spiel and hit you with all the notes and links at the end of the broadcast. So listen out for Staff Roll from Project Justice, Rival Schools 2, only the greatest fighting game ever created. I'll be playing that at the end of the show. The track coming up though is one that, oh my god, it is such a great track. I'm a big fan of early 90s shoot 'em up video games, and I'm also a very big fan of late 1960s soul, rhythm and blues, and rock and roll. So this hits my sweet spot. I guess I have a lot of passions, so maybe that's why they're always lining up so perfectly. But anyway, I have no idea who made this track. Well, technically, this was uploaded to SoundCloud by Kenji Yamamoto. Now, I know what you're thinking, VGM fans, and I'm pretty sure it is not that Kenji Yamamoto, but who knows? There's no evidence either way. Anyway, I found this on SoundCloud. It is Aretha Franklin versus Gradius. I had no idea Aretha Franklin was actually singing about aliens when she wrote this, but here we are. So this is called Think About Gradius. Thanks for listening to the show. I will see you next week, and you are now leaving Thanks for listening to the podcast. You can hit me up on Twitter at GenoBoost. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/GameMusicForAll. Of course, that's with the number 4. Hit up our website. Absolutely hit up our website. GameMusicForAll.com and GameMusicForAll.com/SUBCON. If you go over to the /SUBCON, you will see a link that says subscribe to us on iTunes. So subscribe to us on iTunes. Or just head over to the iTunes store, search for SUBCON Video Game Hip Hop Podcast. You can also download exclusive video game remix albums and chiptune music over at GameMusicForAll.bandcamp.com. All absolutely free downloads. Check out my other podcast, the Bystanders Podcast, over at thebystanderspodcast.com. And if you're feeling extra generous, you could go and subscribe to the Bystanders Podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thebystanderspodcast, and follow them on Twitter, and by them I mean me, at TBS Podcast. If you stuck with me through all of that, maybe you want to support us monetarily even. If you want to do that, just go over to GameMusicForAll.com/support, and you could pay us a monthly subscription via Patreon. Or you can go the route of the good old PayPal donation and pay any amount you want to support the podcast, the website, and all the other internet-based endeavors that I do. Everything I just did is copyright GameMusicForAll.com 2015 or whatever year this podcast happens to come out. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.